Welcome to the Random Real Estate Show. We are a show about random things and occasionally some real estate. If you like to listen, you can find us wherever you download your podcast. If you like to watch, you can find us on Facebook or YouTube under Houston's Home Connection Team. If you want to participate, you can email us at justask@houstonshomeconnection.com or leave us a comment wherever you happen to be watching. We'll always try to comment back or talk about it during our next show. This week we'll be discussing being thankful. I mean, it is the week before Thanksgiving. And some current events. And do we really need an agent when buying a new construction home? This is our 20th show. We're almost legal, but we're rarely mature. It's the Random Real Estate Show.
Number 20 is a big step for us. That means that we've been fairly consistent with something, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I would say, I thought about that. It's like this is 5 months. 20 shows sounds like one thing, but right, we're pushing 5 months of actually having come in here and found something to talk about.
Yeah, the podcast medium has been a good way to, it's been good for me to actually just have a different way to reach people. Maybe it's 5, 10, who knows, but it's that alternative, which, a lot of people are going to. Podcasts are really huge in a different genre. We wanted to go a different route with just portraying real estate news. There's a lot of people who are real estate quote-unquote coaches who have podcasts, but we wanted to go a different route and hit the consumer. So hopefully for the 20 shows you found a little nugget of something, but we're kind of proud of what's going on, and hopefully we'll just keep continuing on.
I still get a kick at, somebody will walk up and say, hey, I listened the other day, you guys are funny, or, I really appreciate, the different ways you do it. And I think you and I have both obsessed somewhat over the sound. We've got a whole soundboard over here, and we worry about it, and yet I listened to another podcast the other day of somebody that, they're famous. They probably have tens of thousands of followers, and I'm like, I don't think they sound any better than we do.
No.
So it's funny how we obsess over some things. But we did want to talk about being thankful. We're going to probably take next week off with some stuff. My daughter's going to come into town. I'm actually flying out tomorrow to visit my dad, and then she and I are going to drive back from Oklahoma, and Josh is flying out tomorrow. We're both flying out, but then we've got family and that kind of stuff. So we will most likely not do a podcast next week, just out of not being around. So we thought we'd talk about things, and I think for both of us, we can look back over our careers so far, and we would be remiss if we didn't say to any of our past clients who are listening that we are very thankful that they chose to trust us and give us the opportunity to help them buy or sell a house.
Yeah, there for sure is not a shortage of real estate agents in Houston alone, but even in the Lake Houston area. And you got them from all genres, and good, bad, indifferent. But the options that are out there for any client to choose from, and when you can snag a client or the ones that do trust you. And most of the time, I think with Tom and I, we end up, and usually, I guess we could call them friends when they end. I mean, we're not going to probably hang out with them every weekend, but clients pretty much turn into friends. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity to, help them buy or sell a home, because that is a huge not only moment for them, but for us, because, you not only want to dot your I's and cross your T's, but you want to give them the experience that they want to call you again next time.
Yeah, I had, I think, when I got into real estate, and I've made this comment several times, I got into real estate because I realized I had been buying and selling houses and had no clue what I was doing, and I just thought, how crazy is that you just sign pieces of paper and write checks, and you're like, okay. And so, I got into the business because I really wanted to learn myself and then help people, and the times that I've had, I had a client come up and say, this is our 7th house. This is the first time we actually knew what we were doing. That made me feel good about that. But you just realize sometimes after you've kind of run out of the people and the people you're around, when you get those clients that basically didn't know you from squat and they trust you to do stuff, I think that's probably the biggest thankful moment for me. Just because, I don't know, it's just different.
Yeah, and especially when they recommend you and you're getting a referral from a past client, then you really know that you're doing something pretty well, and you've treated them good enough to where they would do the ultimate thing, which is refer you. And anytime you give a referral, and it's the same thing for us when we give a vendor referral, it's a nervous moment because you're hoping that vendor treats that person that you gave the refer to as well as you got treated. So yeah, it's a good time to give thanks. It's a good time to get with your friends and family and eat good food. And I know there's plenty of opportunities out there for folks who may not be as fortunate as Tom and I with family and friends, but we could probably put that on our website too. I know there's a good amount of churches and Ham is a big one in our area. That provides a lot of assistance to those out there.
So I guess on that topic, have you guys any discussion on what will be on the table for Thanksgiving?
No. It's usually just the standard stuff. The turkey, the mashed potatoes and gravy. I don't know. I will say we're not very traditional. I think even. No, I take that back. I was almost one year when I was a kid, we had Mexican just because we just wanted to get out of the norm. But this year, most of the time, it's just my wife and I and the kids. This year, her brother now lives here, so he'll be stopping by. But just traditional stuff, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, last year I did a brisket. I think they're going to make me do a turkey. I'm not a big turkey fan. I'm obviously going to cook it in a Traeger. I'm thinking, come up with something a little different. But I'm not a big fan of turkey, so I've been trying to get them over to other mediums of meat that aren't foul.
Well, I take that back. We have had ham. Ham is my kids and my wife like ham better than turkey. So
yeah,
and that's kind of what my wife
a
grew
spiral
up
sliced
yeah.
ham. I did one the other day. I got one, because now they're out, and we ate like about a third of it, and then about half of it, or another third of it, I put it in ham and beans, and then the other third I froze for later.
Mm-hmm.
And man, those ham and beans on a honey glazed spiral sliced ham. Oh my gosh, man, I could eat that like.
I forgot my lunch today.
A lot
I'm
of
fairly
meals.
hungry. And now our office isn't providing lunch today, so that's a real bummer.
Yeah, we normally would give a shout out to the office, but it's meeting day, and so or ALC meeting day, so they don't provide lunch. And I have complained to management.
Well, I'm kind of questioning why I'm here now.
Well, we could have knocked this out yesterday. We probably should have, and then just taken the day off. But here we are. So, excuse me. Have you heard about this deal where J.J. Watt has given out his actual phone number and you can text him?
I did see that last night. That seemed like the social media thing was him giving out his number, and I'm sure it's one of those toss-away phones, which I can't imagine it's his real phone that his normal friends text him on.
I don't know. I mean, that's what they were talking about this morning, so I guess this is kind of the new thing in social media for, stars is, hey, text me and I'll answer you. So, yeah, you would have to think this is sort of not not the phone that he's going to keep for forever, but at any given point he can walk away. But I think he said, I saw him on Twitter today, he's up to 25,000 in his inbox. But I also saw a tweet from somebody who said, if you're lucky enough, he does answer because he posted that he'd sent him something and JJ answered him.
Yeah, you can't see well, I suppose you can if you watch the video, but I'm like kind of quizzitive in my eyes here, but it just seems, I don't know. I don't know if I wouldn't enjoy that. Maybe if I had 25,000 fans, I would, but my God, is this going to be an ongoing thing like every day? He's got to be up to 100,000 people have texted him probably.
I think part of it's because he's, obviously he's hurt, and so he can't do what he normally does to interact with the fans on game day. So, the supposed deal is while he's laying around recovering, he might as well do something to continue giving back to the fans. I just found it interesting. I think I found it more interesting that he did it because some other players were telling him like, hey, this is the thing to do now. And so he's like, okay, I'll do it.
Crazy.
And, that was nuts. Do you have something?
Well, yeah. So last year the thing was where you could star, celebrity, what have you. You could Venmo them like $5, and then once they accumulated up to 100 or whatever, they would do a shout out. So I know kids at my daughter's school paid Chris Paul an X amount of money, I don't know, $100, $150 to do a shout out to the football team or basketball team when they were going to play a game, and like it couldn't have been longer than 4 or 5 seconds.
Right.
But golly, do they need any more cash or?
Yeah, that's a
fandom
little. I could see if they're like, "Hey, do this, and I'll be, giving this to charity, and I'll, blah blah blah." But hey, as we have discussed in, ourselves, sometimes you wonder when is enough for some people, and
Well,
I know you and I haven't reached that.
In a day is enough for me.
Yeah, that's what I think I heard it on the radio this morning on the way to the gym, and the guy's like, he goes, I probably have an eighth of the fans that JJ Watt has, if not less, and I'm working hard to block most of them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take their text.
Well, yeah, so I wonder, is it 50-50 positive with his fans, or is he getting a lot of derogatory? Because, man, that could weigh on you after a while.
Yeah, I'm sure he just sort of glances through, and then every great once in a while he finds one and answers it. But I followed him on Twitter, and he's really good about answering Twitter stuff a lot. So
so you get that's another question I have. So when you have somebody on Twitter, you get notifications, obviously. Could you imagine going on there and seeing like you had 6,000 likes or 400, 500 retweets? I mean, the notifications alone would drive me crazy.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly. It's you and I. We kind of get a jazz when we get a couple hundred views on something we've done. I can't imagine. And that's not necessarily giving us a notification, but we see it. If we got notified every time, that would drive me nuts just to say 200 times somebody had watched your stuff. Like, okay, I get it, fine, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, dang, your serotonin levels have to be through the roof if one day you get 1,000 retweets or something like that. But it's a different world we live in.
So I want to move to a little different topic. I saw something, Josh and I, Josh is more of a fitness nut than me. I am currently trying to get myself in better shape. I am a shape, but it's not a good one. And he talked to me about my eating habits and whatever, and I told him, I only eat probably one meal a day. So he goes, well, great, you're already intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And it was just like, we can take something like that used to be like, man, you're going to kill yourself too. No, I have a new name for it. It's all good now. And so I've been intermittent fasting long before it was popular. I'm still the wrong shape, but
I think there's a little bit more to it. One of the more popular ones is where you don't eat until 12, and then you from a 12 to 6 or 12 to 8, you eat. And I've seen it to where guys who are extremely in shape will just gorge themselves in that 8 hours.
Right.
And then I don't know the body well enough.
I have a friend on Facebook, she swears by it, and she'll go on a 24, she'll go one day on, one day off thing, and she posts all this stuff about it, and she defends it, when people are like, I'm not, she's like, hey, you do your thing, but I'm in shape, I've lost weight, I feel better about myself, so I just found it, what the joke that I read was, don't you love millennials? They can take a bad eating habit and turn it into a new diet fad.
Yeah, it's the new thing. I've actually fasted for 24 hours a few times for religious aspects of it. Not that I'm consistent with it, but I'd definitely do it again, because there are times when you're about the 20th hour and you're asking God to push you through. I mean, because you're hungry.
Well, I know the guy that teaches my son jiu-jitsu, and he's also a 7th degree black belt in taekwondo, and he fasted for 7 days up to the time when he went to get that 7th degree. So
your mind is so strong at that point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they're talking about doing beef broth or doing something, something like, so it's not like you're literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're using some sustenance to at least keep you, but I can do that because, I love pho. So, I mean, I could drink beef broth. I need to go on that diet, I guess. The beef broth diet.
Yeah, if I could do beef broth, I could probably do 7 days.
And other people are like, they just like, oh, I can't stand. They just do water. And I'm like, I could not go a whole day with nothing but water.
I actually, now that we're talking about it, I'd love to get on a challenge like that. I like those mental challenges. They're physical, but they're more mental. You know? I'd actually like that.
Maybe we'll do that one
Yeah,
time.
let's do a 24-hour, and then we buck up to a 3-dayer.
Well, what we'll do is we'll just go on like a 24 or 36-hour fast, and then come in and do our podcast. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah,
all right. Well, listen. Let's move on to our main topic, and it's one that Josh actually posted a video yesterday. And if you go to Houston's Home Connection team Facebook page, you can always see those videos that Josh does. I mean, we both do them, but Josh likes to get these series, and he's got one called Wednesday Wisdom with Josh, and it is one of the more highly produced shows you'll ever find. I think you'll enjoy the production value in it. But what he brought up was, if you're buying a new construction home, do you actually need a real estate agent? I mean, how necessary is it? So we want to talk a little bit about that today as we close out this show. And so, Josh, I'm going to let you kind of take it away because you've done the research, and I'll jump in where I can.
Yeah, and and I don't want to take away anything from these sales counselors that work for the builders. The majority of them are good people who really like to have a good relationship with the agents, and they have no problem with an agent bringing a buyer in, obviously. But even when a buyer may come in solo and then come back, and there could get a little sticky situation. But the key here is who is representing you. Okay, that sales counselor works for the builder. All right, they have a fiduciary duty to the builder to provide the builder with the best deal they can get. Okay, without necessarily screwing over the buyer. But the question is, who's representing you? You have nobody that has your back. Granted, the sales counselor, like I said, the majority are going to be honest with you and work you through this. But that's just the thing, and you have nobody to work you back, and that's the key part of this is the contracts, the negotiations, and if you watch the Wednesday Wisdom with Josh, you'll know there's a few things on there, like with negotiations. One thing realtors know that maybe clients don't is builders don't like to come down on price, but they sure will help out on incentives. Either that be appliance package, or that is closing cost help, or you can help with the interest rate. Numerous amount of things that can help you out outside of bringing down the cost of the home, and a lot of folks don't know that. One of my first deals with new construction when I was younger, starting out, is I didn't know that the builder was not going to provide grass in the backyard or blinds in the house. You just go in the model home and you're like, wow, this thing's decked out. My house will have all this. That's not the case. And that's where a $250,000 home base price could easily come up to $310,000, $320,000 when it's all said and done. So would I go into a new construction home and not have representation or do it without a realtor? Obviously not. There's just no way. And let me tell you this, you're not losing out by using a realtor. People go, well, I don't, they're going to give me a better deal without a realtor. That's not true. Just not true. And what's your experience with that, Tom?
Well, I mean, my biggest deal is that, I mean, ultimately when somebody goes, oh, I don't, I'm like, what do you care?
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you a dime. They are going to pay my fee. And if there's one little thing I help you with, isn't it worth it when it's basically free to you? I mean, and so I think that's a misconception about us, and a lot of times in this whole deal is, I had a young couple that thought they had to go buy this house in a really not good part of town, but that's all they thought they could afford. And as we got to talking and realizing, they were under the impression that they had to pay my fee.
Yeah.
And I said, well, look, under certain stuff, I get it. But, usually the seller pays the 3%. We moved them up into a house that was way better. I mean, a true starter home in a really nice neighborhood that they could start a family in, whereas before they were just kind of, so it's the same thing. And this more so that as long as you bring them in, I mean, the builders are, I don't want to say 100% because then somebody will catch me, but 99% of the time they're paying all the fees. So what does it hurt to use an agent and all those things? The other thing, and we talked about this last week, things you might ask before you buy a house, is the number of times these people in my neighborhood who didn't use a realtor, like, well, nobody told me. I'm like, because you didn't get representation. You had no one who could tell you, and the builder's rep isn't going to tell you things their boss didn't tell them to say. So, you know what I mean? And whatever that may be.
Yeah. And that goes to, you have to know the questions to ask, because if you don't ask the questions, the builder's rep is not going to supply the answer if there's no question being asked, because there's no need for him to do it.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you said. We're going to provide answers that we may not, you may not even know you want. We're just going to give answers based off of what we have seen historically. That builder rep, and don't mistake this, they are not real estate agents.
No.
They're salespeople. Now, there could be some that actually have a license, and whether it's active or whatever, but I think that was something a lot of people misunderstood too. They think they're real estate agents bound by the same rules and laws we are, and they're not, because they're not licensed in any way. They are just a salesperson, as Josh said, that's bound to their employer and not to you. You have nobody at all representing you but yourself.
Mm-hmm. And just to backtrack a little bit, there are those sales counselors who are very good to work with, but if you do go in and talk with somebody on a Saturday and they say, well, we can cut you a better deal without using a realtor, don't trust that fact, because I can guarantee that realtor fee is already built into the price of the home. So either way, you are paying for it without representation. Okay, so go get yourself, go ask around, go find a local real estate office, but you just need to get represented. That's a scary proposition, and sometimes the realtors even learn the hard way as well. But after we've learned, we learn, and that's always a good way to go about it.
Yeah, and we also have a good network of people, like the number of times in our office Facebook page, hey, has anybody used such and such as a builder? And then people start talking, and then you can get a good understanding of that, whereas you may not have that same kind of information. Even if you go to somebody who bought a house, I mean, they're in it. We're literally going, there's 300-400 of us, and so you're going to get a whole lot of information about a certain builder, a certain neighborhood that you just may not be able to get anywhere else because you don't have that same network like we do.
Yeah, and one last tidbit is the quality, and where Tom said we talk to each other. We definitely do talk to each other about the builders, and if a builder is hiding stuff behind the walls that you can't see, that stuff might come out, and we might hear stuff, or they're having a flooding issue, or the backyards are sinking a little bit, or drainage is not any good. That's stuff that we'll know that you may not know because you're looking at it on a sunny day, and you don't know which way that rain is going or water's going through the backyard. So
yeah, I will say, just I had a client who was looking to buy in a neighborhood, and we live in the area, we're close to the airport, and so she was curious if she could hear the planes. So I literally downloaded an audio meter for my phone, and at 5 in the morning when the planes normally come in, I went and stood in the street, and then I went into the house she was going to buy, and I went into where her bedroom would be, and I measured all this just so I could tell her, here's the decibels it's going to be when you come through, and she bought the house. So
see what
there's no sales counselor going to do that for you.
Yeah. See what we'll do for you? We'll go out and wake Tom up at 5 in the morning.
Oh, trust me, you and I have both done far crazier things than that, but
yes.
It's just because we're awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up. I do, like I said, thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who listens to this. And thank you to everybody who spends the time of letting Josh and I, if nothing else, sort of get our feelings out one day a week and putting it out there for everyone. Thank you so much, and everybody enjoy your holiday.
All right. Thanks for joining us this week on another episode of Random Real Estate Show. You can find more of our podcasts on our YouTube page and Facebook page, both under the name Houston's Home Connection Team. We're also on iTunes, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you find value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, which is now Apple Music, I believe. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you'd like to speak with us about any real estate items, feel free to contact us at justask@houstonshomeconnection.com. As always, go out and laugh today.